Yeah, I'm Chris Gates. I'm with MAP Accountability Services. We do post-treatment recovery support for addicts and alcoholics and their families. And so we get a lot of experience working with the family members, often for the first time. A lot of times, even if their loved one's been to treatment a number of times, they haven't always had anybody supporting them. And so that's turned out to be a real key component in what we're doing. The main challenge that a lot of the family members face, as their loved one starts getting sober, is that in their mind, this is an ugly incident they're going to put behind them. And they understand that their life has fundamentally changed direction. That this is an ongoing issue for their loved one and for them. And it's nothing solved now that they've been to treatment. They're not better. They've just started in a new direction. And that they need support, and so does the family member. And so the challenge is getting them to recognize oftentimes that there is something on their side of the street that needs some attention. It's especially when their loved ones are doing badly. When they get out and they're sober, everybody's good and happy. But as soon as their loved ones start struggling a little bit again, and all those fear responses come up, and all that, I want to get in there and make them better because what if I don't? And that's the place where without some support, they'll fall down every time. And so this, leading them slowly into finding their own recovery has been crucial. The simple truth is their loved one gets to spend 30 or 60 or 90 days in an inpatient environment studying the nature of their disease and the nature of the solution to it. And if they're lucky, they get 3 days at a family week. Well, what I find is generally the families have had a little bit of experience with the concepts of enabling or codependency. They've heard the words, but they have no real idea what that means. They don't understand that having lived with an alcoholic and an addict in their life, they've developed some fear-based coping mechanisms that are not effective. Another thing they don't understand is they're not going to understand what those are by themselves in a vacuum. The enabling that the family members do, 80% of it is very straightforward, and it's like selfishness. It's hard to sustain once it's been pointed out. But that other 20%, that stuff that seems perfectly reasonable, in fact, so reasonable that they don't think to ask anyone about it, those are the things that an ongoing relationship with a sponsor in Al-Anon or with your MAP specialist or some other sort of support system, those are the things that can make all the difference. Because it's the ideas that we have that we don't even know, that we're having a thought, this is just true and I must act on it. And those are the things that are going to make the biggest difference in how I perceive the world and what my job is. And so that's where I've got to, get some outside support. And the codependency, it's the same way. It's like some of the fears are so irrational that they fall away as soon as they're pointed out. But some of them are so ingrained, and some of them are so based in experience that it's hard to let go of them. It's hard to get a new experience because I'm so busy hanging on to my old one. One of the things I tell the parents all the time is the single hardest thing you're ever going to have to do is leave your loved one the room to show you that they can be trusted, because it's also leaving them a room to fail. And that's terrifying, especially considering the mess you've probably just come out of. So, trying to encourage them to get support, encourage them to understand that there is work that they need to do so that they can be whole and not comfortable necessarily, but at least centered enough to make reasonable decisions. And it goes back to that leaving space for your loved one to stand or fall on their own. Giving them the ability to show you they can be trustworthy or not. And that's a terrifying place to be. But the only way to make it less scary is to do it. And the only way to do it is generally with some support.